Welcome to Sound Values, powered in part by LSA Burger and Classic of
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in live tonight on DentonRadio.com here in the beautiful Discover Denton Welcome Center. Apparently, it looks like the weather's decided to make up its mind today. It's like 74 degrees on the Denton Square. It is absolutely beautiful. You are tuned into Sound Values tonight. My name is Kind Beats, and I am sitting here with some dudes who just put out a great album right here. It's self-titled Kites and Boomerangs. I'm chilling with the Kites and Boomerangs right now. We've got Will, Hagen, Aaron, and Jason. Super excited to have you guys in the studio today. We can wave and say hello to moms if we need to. You know, all the people out there in the Facebook world. If y'all are watching right now, make sure to reshare the page. Sharing is caring, so go ahead and help spread the love out there. Now, let's just jump right into the conversation, fellas. You sent me the album today, man. I got to listen to it, and I really, really like it. I think it's great. So, once again, if you're out there, make sure that you go and get this album when it comes out April 13th, because it is great. So, Will, first, I want to start. The first question that I want to ask you, man, because are you rhythm guitar, lead guitar, or because I know you do the vocals?
I don't. Rhythm? Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess.
I kind of feel like because Will and Jason both play guitar.
Okay.
And I think that they both sort of trade off on different aspects of it.
Very
But
cool.
Neither one's really rhythm or lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just kind of guitar.
Per se, but yeah.
So what's like your first musical memory? You know, I'm always interested in what kind of gets somebody being like, music looks cool, I want to do that.
That actually made me want to do it.
Yeah.
Gosh, that was probably later because I spent so much time. My mom was really into music when I was growing up, showing me things like Beatles and The Who and Rolling Stones, and I was like, no, that's old people music. I don't want to listen to that because I was a hipster at heart when I was a little kid. So I was like, I'm too cool for that stuff. And then I guess the first time I really realized I wanted the movie Almost Famous. Is that kind of cliche? I don't know. Like
not exactly. It's an awesome movie, honestly.
I fell in love with it and found out it was a true story and stuff, and that's kind of what did it for me. That made me like pick up a guitar and actually want to play poorly, but play.
But get there eventually. What about you, Hagen? I know we've kind of had this conversation before, but
Yeah, the first musical memory I have was like an NSYNC concert.
yes.
But what got me playing drums was my dad was a drummer.
Okay.
So that was one part of it. And then the other part was all my friends played Rock Band.
Okay.
And I was really bad at the guitar part of it. So I played the drum part, and then someone was like, hey, do you want this free drum set? And I was like, yeah, well, if I can do this one, I can probably do the real one. And I was wrong pretty quickly. But so then I practiced a lot and tried, and yeah, so now I'm playing drums.
Practiced a lot at Rock Band.
Very cool.
Yeah, Rock
See,
Band.
this is what's first. See, like, don't take this wrong. I just like when I thought about it, I never thought of you as a drummer when I knew you were in bands. For some reason, you like I don't know. You struck me as like the guitarist or something. You know, I don't know what it was.
My long fingers.
Maybe.
Pretty.
I guess I haven't met a lot of like taller drummers in my day. You know.
Yeah.
You need the shorter, squattier type.
Yeah, he's a really tall drummer.
Yeah, you can reach way out to those cymbals.
That's why they keep me around.
Yeah. All right, and so Aaron, what about you, man? What was kind of your first musical memory?
Well, same with Hagen. My dad was a bass player as well.
Cool.
And I guess in 6th or 7th grade, I became friends with this guy, and he was just this amazing guitar player, and just really inspired me and kind of got me into it that way.
Nice, man. That's cool. So, do you remember this guy's name by chance?
John Houston.
John Houston.
Yeah, he plays music in Houston, Texas.
That works out real well.
I still keep the connections. So.
No doubt.
He's a good
You
guy.
never know when the 6th and 7th grade friends are going to pull through, man.
That's right.
That's the truth. So, how about you, Jason?
Similar to everybody else.
Yeah.
I guess mine was because I had members in both sides of my family that were musicians, and my uncle gave me his guitar. And I guess after that, like, I started playing with friends.
Okay.
Like Van Halen riffs and stuff back in the day.
Nice.
That was like the cool thing to do.
Very cool. Yeah, so it seems like the similarity as far as that question goes is everybody had someone in their family who played something at least, except for you
except
right
for me.
here.
Yeah.
No
background.
But here's the thing: your mom was listening to rock and roll music, and then it's like Almost Famous. Like, what era was that movie like based in?
I mean, it's about Led Zeppelin.
Okay, yeah, okay, sweet. And so, yeah, I remember always thinking the same thing, like, this is old people music, and then, now I really like some of this old people music,
Oh,
like,
she invited me to the concerts and everything, and I said, no, I'm not going to go to The Who,
man.
I'm not going to go to the Rolling Stones, I don't want to see them, and I regretted every day
He was
since.
above it. He was above that sort of stuff.
I would go back in time and slap myself in the face.
Yeah, I would too. Not you, me. Right? There's a lot of things.
That's fine, slap me in the face. Then.
So my next question is, like, how did everybody meet? I don't know if someone wants to take point on that. How did you guys kind of become a band?
Yeah, that's a really hard question. Will's the only original member left in the band. The
Okay.
band has gone through a lot of
Iteration.
yeah, a lot of iterations, a lot of different members. And Will is the last remaining of the original members.
The last glimmer of hope for the Republic.
For the yeah.
So you wouldn't get political.
Galaxy
So-
far, far away.
So I met Kites and Boomerangs. I met Will and the guys whenever I was playing in some other bands, and I met them at a Fort Worth show, and I thought they were really cool when we played a couple other shows together, and then they posted they're looking for a drummer on Facebook, and
Did you play with them with moniker?
no, it was a band that doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of does.
Kinda
It
does.
goes under a different name now. But yeah, I was playing with them with a different band, and then I saw they were looking for a drummer online, and I was like, cool, yeah, I would love to try out, and it was super fun. It was a super quick connection. It was something that I hadn't really actually felt when with someone I didn't really know, especially because I didn't
Yeah.
know the guys super well. So whenever I came in and tried out, it was a very quick connection. I loved the songs, and Will's voice is honestly what just immediately gets me in every single time. Still, whenever I hear his voice on new stuff or stuff we've been playing for a long time, there's points where I'm just like, wow, that sounds great.
Yeah, I mean,
It
that's what I
surprises
said when
me,
I was
yeah.
like, wow, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
Because it's you never know what you're gonna get. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you kind of got to go in it and be like, all right, well, how's this gonna feel? But I was pleasantly surprised, like I said. But I've heard good things about Kites and Boomerangs around town. It's like I always heard great things about Criminal Birds, and then when I saw them for the first time, I was like, yo, these guys are killing it right now. So there are these names that are in town where you kind of know that these are good bands, that really, really get up there and perform great. So how did everybody else kind of get involved with the rest of it? Like Jason?
You're
I
next.
guess we should go in that order. Makes sense.
Chronologically.
I got in the band through our ex-bassist, actually. We were both studio musicians for someone else through a mutual friend. And eventually he asked me if I wanted to play keys for the band, and I met the guys. I went to one of their shows. I really dug the music. I really love Will's voice. And I guess it kind of just went off from there, and then the story finishes with Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah, I joined 2 years ago now.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah, and pretty much I went to Animal Spirit show. They were this band from Fort
R.J.
Worth.
Bentley's, right? That's what it was?
Yeah.
Mhm.
This place in Arlington. And I don't know why I even went to the show, but I ended up going. And I guess it was the last bass player, his last show.
Mm-hmm.
And so I met up with Will at the bar. Obviously I was attracted to him. I thought he was into me. So we got to talking, and he's like, yeah, we're oh, God, kills me every time. And he's says that they're looking for a new bass player, and so I try it out, and I mean the connection, with these guys, I mean, it's easy. So.
That's awesome, man.
Actually, it wasn't at the bar. It was outside. And you said, "So you guys looking for a new bass player?" That's what it was. That's worth pointing out because it was hysterical.
Yeah, quite the sales.
I was like, I mean, I looked over at Owen, and who's standing over there. I'm like, I guess yes, but just keep it down. A little bit, 'cause that'd be weird. That's like meeting.
My ex is still here.
Yes,
Give it a
exactly.
minute.
Wow, I didn't even think about it like that. I was so aggressive.
Yeah, what a salesman. That's what I
Hey,
mean.
you know what? That's how you
He
get the
saw
job
what
you
he
want.
saw what he wanted, and he went for it.
That's
You know,
right.
dress for the
I
job you
admire
want,
that.
not the one you have. Oh man, that's awesome. So, so Will, was this kind of like, was Kites and Boomerangs kind of your project that you started, and it's kind of developed from there a long time ago? Because it seemed, were you always the front man, the guy kind of writing the songs, and the band kind of built off of that?
No, it was actually like I knew I liked writing music and I loved singing and stuff, and I always had stage fright. So I wanted to do something with it and kind of overcome a fear. So I think I went on Craigslist and I met who was the original other guitarist for Kites and Boomerangs, and we kind of just co-wrote some stuff. I was looking to do, like kind of a Beatles kind of thing, just doing half and half, and it ended up actually splitting up like half and half. Like I wrote half of the songs, he wrote half the songs, and then eventually I don't consider myself a front man. I don't know. It just kind of like evolved naturally, and I was lucky enough to get to meet Hagen and the band that he was in before. And I mean, I honestly, I don't think I should.
You're that part of if you have to call a band a machine, you're that part of the machine. You don't view yourself separately. It's not like I'm a front man or this or that. You're a part of this group.
Yes.
Of guys that gets up there and just kills it. This just happens to be your part of the job.
I mean, I love and admire these gentlemen and their abilities musically and otherwise, and comedically too. I mean, that's something you don't really get to see on stage.
Yeah, for sure. And so before we kind of jump into talking about the record and everybody and kind of what you guys all did in the record and the process of this, I got to ask, where does the name Kites and Boomerangs come from?
That's
Go ahead, Will.
Take it, buddy.
We were just stuck on names, and someone suggested that. It was like really on the farthest end of the ones that I particularly liked at the time, but it ended up being between two names that we thought people would just be able to remember. I guess it's a horrible story, but it was that and the garage door openers, and I'm glad that we
Thank
went
God
with
you chose
this. I'm so glad we went with Kites and Boomerangs.
If Hagen hit me up and be
for-
like, hey, man, you want to interview my band, the Garage Door Openers? I'd be like, absolutely not. The music's great, but I can't have this name.
How can I impolitely pass?
Yeah. All right, man. So let's kind of jump into the record. So is this considered y'all's first record that y'all put out, or is it an EP, LP?
This is like the so they had 2 full-length albums they released before I joined the band, and so before this whole iteration.
Okay.
And then after I joined the band and Jason joined the band, we did an EP, and then we had been sitting on these songs for a long time, and we wrote a couple others when Aaron joined. So this is like the first full-length album of this iteration of the band, and so we thought that it was a good time to like self-title it and not try to like it felt like it was a new era, and it was like let's kind of restart a little bit.
Yeah. So everybody kind of has a different process when writing an album. Some people sit down and specifically write an album. Some people have a collection of songs, 25, 30 songs, and they decide on the best 5, 6, 7, 10. What was the process for y'all when writing this record?
Mixed.
It was all jamming.
Yeah.
And all us just being together and playing together.
Very cool.
That's pretty much it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so,
Here you go, Kara.
Yeah.
You
Show
go.
me the poster. There we go. It's beautiful, actually. Who designed the poster?
He's a friend of mine. His name's Aiden Earl.
Okay.
He lives in Seattle, but I've known him for a long time, and I couldn't suggest him enough for doing artwork.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he
that's
did.
very cool.
Because the way we did the artwork is Will actually originally drew the robot, and then we gave it to Aiden, and he sort of did his thing with it, and now we have this amazing art with it.
So is the robot kind of like the name, like you had like 3 different pictures and you thought the robot was your favorite, so you just went with that, or does the robot have purpose?
There were 3 different sketches too that were overlayered. That's also and layered. Yeah, it all comes together.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's just jump right into this. Okay, so the very first song, of course, was the first one I listened to, which was "Milk on the Windshield," and once again, you guys can correct me. This is just my simple interpretation of when it started. So the song kind of first starts, and it just kind of has the plucking riff kind of going on. And then once again, your vocals, man, I know these guys have said they're great, but they are. Like, it was awesome. And the way the whole record sounds, it sounds really good. So the guy who mixed it was awesome. And then when the chorus kind of comes along, it kind of does this, like, it kind of like changes in a way. I don't know if it's keys or if it's just like this now. It's like kind of more atmospheric and melodic in a way. And then it goes back to that down, and I wish I could repeat it in my head. But it's just a really cool song, and the way that you're able to blend the 2 different sounds together, it doesn't sound like 2 different songs when you're listening to it, even though when I had to go back because I was like, wait, that just changed so much like that, but it was so smooth. Did it just go to the next song? Like, what happened? So, let's just kind of start off telling me about, the first track, Milk on the Windshield, and why did we choose this as the first song for people to listen to?
I think that we all agreed that, like, the strong, like, just like the way it starts with just Aaron's bass line, it was just like, that's such a cool way to start an album. Because that bass line is
it kind of leads in too, like it kind of like introduces everybody. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that the thing about what you're saying, like it sounding like it being 2 songs, is something that, I mean, since I've joined the band, we've always had conversations about that. We've always struggled with that idea because we've had so many songs that have ended up being like, well, this sounds like this and this sounds like the opposite, but it's in the same song. And I think it's just something that, like, we always describe ourselves as like eclectic indie rock because we have no idea what we are. Like, that's just, and that song, I think, because it ends with this heavy, like, fast thing in your face, and so I think that song is like a really, really good representation of what we are. It also is like a brand new song, so we really have only played it live like a couple of times.
Nice, man.
And it's also like, I mean, that's kind of what I always loved about or one of my favorite types of songs, I guess, is like where you have that contrast where it goes from like pop to like this dark, I don't know, that's the way I've always looked at it anyway. There was like Peter Gabriel songs and Paul Simon songs that I can't think of the names or how they go, but if you played them for me, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's the sound that I'm talking about.
So when I say it sounds like, when 2 different songs, it's not a bad thing.
No,
it's not a knock at all. It's the ability to do that and make it work, and make it sound cool and make it sound fluid, and you provide that atmosphere in the song. It's like, oh, okay, this is not like poppy like Justin Bieber in a way. It kind of has this kind of poppiness to it. And then it does go to that darker kind of melodic feel during the chorus, and then takes you back. So I loved the way the album started, and I was caught right away. And so I kind of got to ask, man, like Dave said, your voice is unique and it sounds good. So are you one of those cats who you just started singing and it worked out, or did you have any kind of training, or like some people are like, oh, I grew up singing in the church sometimes, or this or that?
Actually, that was the one thing that I did have training with. When I grew up, I think I was like 6, and I started singing in these city choirs and stuff. We would go to malls and stuff like that. But I mean, honestly, I was so embarrassed, and like I said before, I had stage fright, so I never actually sang when we were on stage. It was a choir, so I would just lip sync the entire time, every time.
Okay.
And then I went to do on choir in high school and junior high and stuff, but that was pretty much it. I mean, I tried band. I was in band. I played clarinet, but nothing really stuck except for singing, and that's the one thing that I really pride myself on.
Yeah, man. So, like I said, it sounds great. And then on the second track, I feel like the bass riff that I was talking to you about might have been on your Wednesday on a Tuesday. I can't remember. It was number 1 or number 3, and that bass riff was just so awesome. Like, I loved it. And it was poppy and snappy. It was slappy, and it came out just right at the right points. Yeah. You could kind of hear the higher kind of bass notes plucking through, and then the bass rolling with it. just like fantastic work on that,
Thank
man.
you.
So I like I said, I was like, dude, this is some really good bass playing right here, man.
Thank you.
And just the atmosphere that you guys created within the album, I really like it. You know, I can only say I really like it so many times.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna say it a lot.
One of the things about recording this
Well, you can
album,
keep saying it.
yeah.
one of the things about recording this album that was really different from other experiences I've had was 3 of the songs on there. I did to a click, and then the other 4 we did live. And the 3 that I did to a click, we didn't have scratch tracks, so it was just my drums.
Okay.
And both situations, the band had to come in and then overdub. So the live songs were particularly hard to overdub because there is no click, and they just kind of have to listen to what I'm doing, and
Yeah, I
there
get
we
that
go.
feel.
Yeah.
And then with the metronome, it is easier in a sense, but there is no scratch track, so it's just the drum. So it's like this is all you have to
Yeah.
work with. And what I'll say is that these guys nailed it when it came time to like actually record.
Okay.
Like we got in the studio, and like I knew they'd do well, but they nailed it. Like I would come back, I would like take breaks from work and just run over there and see, and it's like this sounds incredible.
Bunch of one take Jakes over here.
Yeah,
you
it was
know?
it was nuts.
Yeah,
it was
just
so
knock
it was
it out.
so crazy watching, especially Aaron nail some of the bass parts like so perfectly to how the drums were sounding. I was like, that's incredible.
That's what
Like,
I was hearing. I was
yeah.
like, oh man, everything is just working so well. So then Jason, you know, like just the guitar playing, dude. Like I'm saying, the guitar playing is awesome. You know, very well done. Everything sounds great in there, man. And so it's been like I've kind of talked to him. It's been hard, you know, and I know it's out there, but for me to find alternative and rock music that I really like these days that doesn't feel like soccer mom rock. No offense to the soccer moms. No offense to my Nickelback fans. All Nickelback ever did was make a million bros happy. All right, and
You still can't find them, though.
yeah,
Yeah, you can.
yeah,
They're all up north.
yeah. So just great work on that. Now, I want to ask you another question, though, because there's some terminology that some people might not know. So you said a click. So when you're playing to a click, what does that mean?
Means you're playing to a metronome. So
Okay.
so essentially like the song has that terrible beeping sound that just like keeps me awake at night.
I think it's a beautiful sound.
That's really good for you.
So, yeah.
So that's honestly one of the weirdest things about this album to me, that like because like essentially 50-50 is click and then live.
Okay.
And then live recording, well, the way you do that is I had Will and Aaron play along with me, but there was no metronome.
Okay.
So we essentially just went through the songs. We did a couple takes of them until there was something that we liked, and then they had to overdub.
Okay.
Because we couldn't keep what they did because it was scratch tracks, essentially live scratch tracks.
Okay, cool. Right on. So, Jason, my question for you is, as a studio musician, somebody who played as a studio musician before you were in the band, is it hard to play to just the drums, or like if they're just scratch tracks, or is this kind of something that what is it you kind of see? Because honestly, you're probably the first person I've ever talked to on this show who was like, oh, as a studio musician.
I
you know?
mean, it was just, honestly, I prefer no click track at all.
Okay.
If I could do it, but this experience was kind of interesting just because of the fact that it was kind of mixed with both. But I've always preferred more of a natural feel when it comes to recording, honestly.
Okay.
And we kind of went a different route that I wasn't used to. But in the end, it turned out pretty cool. So
Right on. Yeah. You know, when I was 16, 17, I just had like a little 3-track recorder, and it was always so hard for me to play my guitar and then sing over that. For some reason, the vocals are what kind of drove like my tempo in my head in a way, and that's just from not being that skilled of a musician in the first place. When I was 15, 16 years old, I was just putting out, emo music that my girlfriend would think I was cute for. That's all that was really.
That's
sure it
that's
was
the only
great.
reason why we're here, right?
I'm sure it's
I'm
awesome.
sure you can go find the Midnight 30 out there
MySpace.
somewhere. It's on Pure Volume still.
I really wish
I
MySpace
don't
was
I don't
still
think
a
the
thing.
tracks still load up. If they still load,
Oh,
that'd be
they could
amazing.
find a way.
My the picture on there is beautiful.
Oh, yeah?
It's It's me with my head down, my guitar next to me, and I have like skinny jeans on. My hands are, and my long emo hair is like brushed across my face, and I'm leaned up against this shed, like in my backyard somewhere. There's like a playground in the background from that elementary school, and I thought it was.
I think that was the Chris Gaines cover.
That's what we were talking
It was
about.
me, man. You didn't know. You didn't know that was me. Yeah, I always wonder like the different ways that you can go into a studio and record stuff, because I'll watch, I can remember having like as horrible as this is, a Good Charlotte album, and they had like,
dude, don't say that. I had two.
Thank you.
They're classics.
Thank you. This guy. But on the CD, like it came with like, here's how we record the album, and it showed kind of different ways that they do it. I've always been interested in how bands go in and the different ways about going about recording an album.
Yeah, there's so many different ways, and then like you have like depending on who you're working with, not just like the band, but like the producer or the engineer. And we work with Brat Cantrell over at Dojo Baby
We have to say
Studios.
his
Yeah,
name.
yeah, because
he's
Brat's
we should've
amazing.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brack, this is ridiculously
He's a
good.
big-
I
Yeah.
he's a
never
big
felt so
part of this
comfortable
album,
recording with
so.
anybody, and like for some reason we recorded it at like a $1 million studio a couple times, and the guy, it was so uncomfortable the whole time. But Brack made it just
That's great.
Yeah,
wonderful.
Yeah, his environment is great. He's the man, and he knows how to make like songs. He knows how to make you comfortable and make the song sound the way it should.
Mm-hmm.
So if you, like, if you have somebody who knows, if they can hear a song, go, oh well, this shouldn't be done to a metronome, or this should be done to a metronome, or whatever it might be, then the song is going to be served in its best way possible.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right on.
Yeah, he's
Very cool.
the man.
Yeah. And I think that's something that a lot of time you don't think about is like, how does the engineer in the studio make you feel as a musician? Do you feel comfortable when you walk in there? Is it homey? Is it all business? Do they make you feel like they actually care? Are they just trying to get the songs recorded and then out the door, man? Let's get this mastered
that's
and
what it
sent
really
and pressed.
matters.
And,
Is like, do they make you feel like they care?
That's something
'Cause
cool. That's-
when I'd have something that I was like, I don't know about that. He'd probably say something like, hey, so what do you think about this part? I'd be like, I don't know. What do you think? I don't really like it, but if it's something you want, like, yes, then let's take that out. Because that's kind of what I was thinking, but,
Yeah.
you're professional, and that sounded way better.
It's good to have. You got to have those people to bounce those things
Yeah,
off of,
and
man.
he pushes you the right way too.
Oh yeah.
Whenever he knows that you're, able to pull off a track better, then he'll ask you to do it.
Yeah,
because
yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, so it's like I said, that's not something that I would have normally thought about. Is how does the studio engineer make you feel whenever you go in there as a band and as a musician and stuff? Because sometimes you're in there by yourself, or you're in there with friends, or so who knows how that guy's feeling that day or how he's going to act. So we've got a release party coming up, which is going to be sweet. That's going to be at Harvest House.
Yes.
So I'm going to be jamming there, and if it rains this time, because I know what happened to that last show.
I don't
man.
want. I don't want to talk about
Yeah, I'm not even going to jinx it.
Weather now,
Yeah.
81 and cloudy.
Well, I think we'll be okay.
Which it's right here, by the way.
Yeah. Poster again, right there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a really fun time. The album comes out on Friday the 13th, and we're doing 2 release shows. This one at Harvest House on the 12th, and then the following day, the 13th, in Fort Worth at Mass, Main and Southside. We have the infamous and Honan joining us for this show.
Awesome.
At Harvest House.
You know,
Yeah,
I
Harvest
haven't
House.
heard Honan yet, so I'm excited.
Oh,
Yeah, I haven't
she's
heard
great.
Carly. I mean, I've heard Carly.
Uh-huh.
I've heard Carly Reese, and so I'm curious. Does it still have the jazz influences in it, or is she going?
Yeah,
a
she
bit
she
of a-
she
yeah.
describes. I think she describes herself on Facebook as like alt pop.
Okay.
But it definitely still has those jazz influences.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, she played here. She played in the studio live with us one time, and it was just like ridiculously good.
Yeah.
From the moment I saw her last summer at Backyard the first time. I think the first time she got on stage was with maybe not the first time, but first time I saw her, she got on stage with Southpaw Preachers, because Hale called her up, and she got up there, and then the vocal looping thing kind of messed up on her, and she was like, Hale, and she had to step away from just get up. But luckily, I got up. My set was next, which is always weird to be a producer / DJ and then play after the Southpaw Preachers. Hi, these guys are amazing. I'm gonna click some buttons, and I stole all the music you're gonna hear is what I stole from the jazz greats that y'all spent years studying, and then I just looped it over a beat that I made because I remember Horace Bray was like, "Oh, I love this track," and I was like, oh, sweet, you know.
Playing after them is always just
Yeah,
we've
why
played-
did somebody do this to me?
Well, so I messed up
so
on my
good.
set, and like, you know, but I grabbed the mic. I was like, if Southpaw Preachers can do it, so can I.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
they started cracking up.
Did you say that into the mic? 'Cause
Oh,
it
yeah.
would- oh, okay. All right.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I wasn't. You know, I knew I had run sound for them before, and so they were really cool to me. And I had interviewed Hale and a couple of the other people here in the studio. So that was a lot of fun. So you've got the Harvest House 12th. Now, was there a reason you were dropping it on Friday the 13th?
There were two potential dates to look at. One was April 13th, and one was the following Friday, which is April 20th. And I thought Friday the 13th was a little more fun.
Little bit,
Yeah.
yeah.
Send the wrong message with
I
that.
I thought April 13th, especially because what I immediately thought of was because of the robot. It was like kind of open to do whatever you wanted to. So I was talking to the artist Aiden, and I said like it'd be super cool if we do Friday the 13th, and then you do like a spoopy poster. So
Yeah, so you've got the
Spoopy.
kind of the blood moon and all that.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It works. It works really, man. Yeah, I gotta say, I don't think that 420 would have been the best move to release this album.
No,
and
I
have
mean,
that.
Super Troopers 2 is coming out. So,
yeah.
look-
Some
Yeah,
people,
and it's not really.
people show up.
It's
They're like,
not
I
really that
thought
kind of
thought
record.
this was a
either.
reggae show.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Came here to see Cottonmouth Kings. What's going on?
if you really look at the underlying message, then
yeah. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's
There's some subtext.
Yeah.
there.
So we've still got some time left. I kind of want to go around, and I'm gonna give the record the proper like really sit down, you know, because like I said, I got to listen to it on my lunch break, and so it wasn't as you know as looked at and was listened to as I'd like to it. But let's go around. What's everybody's favorite song on here? You know, is there kind of like everybody's got a specific one, or do you guys have one that kind of everybody really likes?
honestly, mine is Goonies, so that's number 6.
Okay.
Mostly because we kind of came together just sort of jamming on something, and then it just turned into something I'm just really proud of. I mean, I'm proud of all the tracks, but for a few of them, it was like, you know, just like a riff that started it, and then we built upon that. But that one was just kind of, I don't think I could say who originally started that one. It just worked.
Nice.
Yeah, I think Goonies is also probably my favorite as well. I think that the coolest thing about Goonies is, like Will said, no one really brought to the table like the start of that song. It sort of just happened as a jam. But I think the other really interesting thing to me about that song is that it's like really different from what like other stuff we've done. Like there's like the ending especially is something that like we normally don't do endings that, you know, the way that song ends, and it just has a similar vibe, but it to me it's always felt like very different and new and exciting.
Nice.
So that was probably the coolest thing to me about that song in particular.
Right on. And Aaron?
Oh man, it's kind of hard picking a favorite. I'd say maybe This Time Next Year
Okay.
is probably my favorite,
All right. Cool.
and I think the reason why is because it's like really like it's kind of thematic.
Okay.
You know, it kind of paints an image in your mind a bit more than I guess any of the other songs would. I guess in a way, it goes through like really cool production. It's fast paced and it's like kind of scary and creepy at times.
Okay.
So I kind of like that kind of that thing about that song. But I
Nice.
love them all. So.
How about you, Jason?
Ooh, mine's gonna be a tie between Goonies, which is also number 6, and Bruised.
Okay.
Probably because both of them we just wrote them in such a short amount of time, and they turned out to be some of the best songs on there.
Yeah, Bruised was
Yeah.
the song that
we wrote the week before.
Yeah. and Will was like, he had showed it to me at like we were just hanging out one time, and I was like, hey, we should do that, and he's like, I don't think so.
I'm like this. I don't like this. I'm not a fan of this one. I know I wrote it
Yeah.
and stuff, and it's like it's all the way written. Like I wrote all the lyrics, everything's good. The parts they're all there, but I hate it.
It seems to be a universal truth in music that the songs that come natural are always the best. You know,
Yeah.
like even like, you know, I've you know, if I'm making a beat, the one that works, if I don't have to sit at the piano for 2 hours and try to come up with something that's going to create what's in my head, if I can just sit down and do it,
Right.
that's, you know, I mean, when that kind of, you know, it just like flows out and through you, those songs. And I found that it doesn't matter what type of music you're making, those tend to be your favorites and the ones that are usually sound the best.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know? So, yeah, guys, I mean, it was surprisingly enough, we're coming pretty close to an end here. One more time, sitting here with Kites and Boomerangs, talking about their album, Kites and Boomerangs. We've got the release on April 13th, which is when the album's going to drop, but they've got their album release show on April 12th at Harvest House. And then what was the venue in Fort Worth one more time?
Maine at Southside.
Maine at Southside. Cool.
Also known as Mass.
Yeah.
Mass. All right.
Yeah.
Mass, Maine at Southside.
Cool place.
So, guys, it's been a great conversation. Like I said, the album's awesome. I think it's great. I'm going to continue listening to it because I have it in my Dropbox now, which is
Lucky guy.
Yeah.
I don't.
I had to ask him twice for it. The first time I clicked on it, it said file does not exist. I was like, well, this album.
He won't even give it to me.
You're
I
never going to believe what I had to do.
This album's a joke. Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. I had to like start a new. I couldn't remember my old Dropbox. Yeah, I had to start a whole new email and crap for it. But now I'm good.
That's the worst.
Now I'm solid on the Dropbox. So the last question that I've got for you guys before we go, I asked this once again. This is kind of a question I ask everybody. Is let's go around. What's everybody's favorite snack? What is everybody's favorite snack?
Oh, don't start with me. This is
Okay. Okay. We're starting with Jason here.
Bad snack or good snack?
Either or, man. Just like yeah.
Healthy snack, probably either blueberries or avocado. Not crappy snack. Good junk food snack. I'll probably go with hot fries.
Nice. Yeah. The Flamin' Hot Cheetos are usually up there for quite a few people, and the hot fries.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
Spicy nacho Doritos.
Nice. Yeah. There you go. I recently heard an interview with the CEO of PepsiCo who makes Doritos, and they had done a study where they found that amongst that boys and girls eat their chips differently. When they did a study with Doritos, they found that boys will lick all of it off their fingertips, and then they'll pour the bag into their mouth, and girls don't do this. And that boys crunch their chips a lot louder than girls. And so they were talking to the CEO of PepsiCo, this lady, and she was discussing how she had gotten in trouble in an interview once being like, yeah, so we're trying to make a snack that kind of fits more the way that women eat snacks. And people got really up in arms about this. And so she issued a statement that was like, we already have Doritos for women. They're called Doritos. We're just trying to make
more dicey statement.
Yeah. I know, exactly. And it was on NPR and all this. So I was Sunday morning. I'm like, oh, what's this? Talking about Doritos. I'm into this. So Hagen, what's your snack, man?
Gummy bears.
That's right. How could I forget?
Wait, okay, but I have to call you on that because there was a pack of gummy bears sitting in your car for weeks and weeks, and I wanted to eat those so bad because I love gummy bears, but you didn't eat them. How could you say they're your favorite if they said
I didn't eat them? I didn't eat them because I was on a diet and they were taunting me, and that's how I improve myself.
You're like the guy who has a pack of smokes there just to tell it no.
Yeah.
And now I feel bad.
Not today, Marble Reds. Not today. This show is not affiliated with Marble Reds whatsoever. And not officiated. I can't do that.
Okay, so do street tacos count?
Absolutely.
Because they're
you can eat
they're
like
small.
12 of them.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm about.
If
just
it's
tacos
bite-sized,
in general.
just the tacos.
Rusty Tacos, by the way. I'm sure there's some people that go to Rusty Tacos. It's a wonderful place.
I go there.
I will sit there for half an hour to wait for my queso if I have to.
That is awesome. Guys, once again, thank you so much for coming in,
Thank you.
talking with
Thank
me
you for
today,
having us.
making this happen on short notice. I appreciated it, guys. It's been a great conversation. So once again, y'all, head out to Harvest House April 12th. What time is the music kicking off?
8. Infamous
8
kick it
o'clock.
off at 8.
Infamous kick it off at 8. I'm going to guess Hone In at 9, and then Kites and Boomerangs at 10.
We're going to be at 9 because it's a Thursday, so we're taking that 9 slot.
But
and then
come
Hone In
early
at 10.
because the drinks are good.
Yeah, come
Exactly.
early.
Everything's good about that place.
Yeah, come early.
It's one of my
Harvest House.
I annoyed Alex Moon until he just was like, fine, June 1st. He came up to me one night and was like, hey, I think I want to have you play this summer. And I said, gotcha.
Finally warmed down.
That's how I feel all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like in a good venue, you're like, I got you.
I've
It's
had
not
that-
gonna happen the
they're-
second time.
They're
but-
like, how do you get shows? Annoy people until they tell you yes or say leave me alone forever. So yeah. All right, guys. Once again, my name is Kind Beats. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Next week, I've got Mindy Arndt coming in and her crew. They're going to be talking about the Thin Line Film Festival. And remember, tacos, 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 tacos. I write these things down.
biggest word on there.
That
There's so
was
many
the biggest
exclamation
note.
Yeah,
points.
notice how small the gummy
Best
bears
note.
is next to your tacos. That's because you told me. I'm like, I'm gonna go get some tacos after this.
Right? No, I think
Oh man! All right, folks. Well,
Constant
once again, y'all stick
professional.
around. We got Ellie Bell and the Denton Vibe up next. Kites and Boomerangs. Go grab the album April 12th at Harvest House. You guys, thank you again for coming out and
Thank
talking
you.
with
So
us.
much
For
fun.
having us,
We'll
man.
see y'all
Thank
next
you.
time. Denton, stay cool, and keep the good music flowing. I don't even know how to close this show out. I've had a great time. We'll see y'all next week. Peace out.
Please keep the music.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.